Teletubbies, one of the most classic baby shows of all time. From its really cute, innocent, chubby creatures with televisions on their tubbies to its clean and imaginative vast world. But how could something so cute and childishly innocent could have ever become a horror game? Huh? Well, surprisingly, it just did. It became a horror game. And not just a horror game, a complete saga of them. You heard that right. A complete saga of horror games involving the Teletubbies as the main antagonists of the series. And you may be wondering, who in their right mind would make such a horror game? Especially if the Teletubbies are the supposed killers. They are the Teletubbies. They're supposed to be cute and cuddly creatures. And for some reason, the developers thought that they would play a great role for the killers in the horror game. Anyways, the saga that I was talking about earlier is called the Slendytubbies. Yes, it's called that. I don't know why, it's a weird combination, but I do have a guess of why they chose the Teletubbies as the main killers for a horror game. And that is because there has been a conspiracy going around about the Teletubbies show itself having to hypnotize little children, specifically babies. And that's just it. That's the conspiracy. Just hypnotizing little children or babies. But I'll just show you a random example of this that I found on the wondrous internet.
Teletubbies are scary.
So basically, as you saw in the video, the baby was crying like crazy until the baby's favorite show would come on. That is, the Teletubbies. Then the baby would just change its behavior and would be happy and would try to sing along to the theme song. Which wasn't really that hypnotic if you ask me. Why, you may ask? Because that's basically the same thing as an angry child who would get happy if they got their favorite toy. And from what I think of why this whole conspiracy started is probably because of the many odd things in the show itself. Like the sun with the baby's face on it, or like how slow the episodes would move, or when the Teletubbies would play a really long and boring video of kids on their Teletubby. And for some odd reason, they would play the video again. Okay, now what? Who would want to watch the same long, boring video again? I wouldn't want to do that. I'd just flip through channels on my TV remote, and I'd rather watch the aquarium channel instead. But you may be thinking, why does it have the word Slendy in the title Slendytubbies? Well, I have two guesses why. My first guess is probably the most likely and obvious reason why. And that is because the Slendytubbies games were inspired by another horror game called Slender, the 8 Pages, which was really popular at the time back in 2012. But surprisingly, that's the same year the first original Slendytubbies game was released. Coincidence? I think not. But that was actually a pretty clever move. Having a game which was most likely a parody of Slender be released in the same year. And because of that, after the release of the first Slendytubbies game, people actually liked it, and they wanted more, which is why the rest of the saga blew up. Now, my second guess, it's really simple, and that is because most victims of the Slenderman are children. So, without further ado, let's just get right into the review. On December 12th of 2012, a team of independent game developers called ZeoWorks decided to release the first Slendytubbies game of the saga, which at the time only included 2 game modes, which were single player and multiplayer. But multiplayer is usually the game mode that I like playing, even though there isn't much of a difference between each other in this game. To me, it's just better playing and interacting with other players in this horror game. Because believe me, the gameplay in single player mode is really kind of boring. Because in the game, you basically play as a white or grayish Teletubby character who can be called the Guardian. And your main goal is, instead of collecting notes like in Slender, you have to collect all of the 10 bowls of tubby custard while avoiding being caught by a Slendytubby. And you basically do this in only 3 maps. And those 3 maps are simply called Day, Dusk, and Night. And each map has a label of how scary it is. having day be scary, dusk being scarier, and the night being the scariest. And I do agree with the levels of scariness that the maps have. And so, the map that I guess I like the most in this game is night. Well, because it's night, duh. And because I guess it's that this map gives me more of the startling experience. You know what I mean? Anyways, notice earlier when I said you had to avoid getting caught by a Slendytubby? Why? Because there's literally only one evil Teletubby in this game. Even though this game is called Slendytubbies and not Slendytubby. I guess it wouldn't matter anymore because it has its own saga now, but back in 2012, it wouldn't even make sense. And that evil Teletubby is Tinky Winky, the purple and the tallest, oldest, and the fattest Teletubby of them all. And I'm guessing that that's the reason why they chose Tinky Winky as the only antagonist in this game. And we will talk about Tinky Winky later. Because having only one evil Teletubby doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get to see the other Teletubbies in this game. As for Po, you can see her in a really brutal and vicious position in the game. Because literally, you can see her hanging on the branch of a tree by her neck on a rope. Yeah, that's how dark this game can really go, even though it has Teletubbies. But hey, at least there's some tubby custard beside her, I guess. And if you get the custard beside her, nothing really happens, so yeah, rip Po. Now for Lala, she's actually supposed to be the first victim that the player's supposed to find. Because you can find her around the lake laying on the floor covered in blood and bruises. And beside her is also another custard. Surprise! Oh, and speaking of surprises, if you try to get the custard from Lala, she will rise up from the dead and jump scare you. Oh, and we'll talk about jump scares later on. Finally, for Dipsy, you can find her decapitated body inside the Teletubbies' house with another custard beside her. Now for the actual Slendytubby, Tinky Winky's just really annoying. Let's start with the design of Tinky Winky, shall we? Well, first of all, it's basically just Tinky Winky, but with a picture of a scarecrow pasted on his face. Wow, they really are attempting to make Tinky Winky, a Teletubby, look scary. It's just amazingly horrible how bad this design is. They could have put more effort in Tinky Winky's design, like adding a more scarier picture on its face, or maybe just redesign the morph itself. I see nothing wrong with that. But no. They decided to stick with what they have. They basically just made him ugly then scary. If you're gonna make a horror game, then make it scary. And not to mention how Tinky Winky chases after you. There's no animation at all. They literally just made him T-pose while chasing after you. Just look at this. Would you get scared if Tinky Winky was chasing after you like this? Like, would you? Like, come on, seriously? And Tinky Winky does have a voice, I guess, but it's just, oh gosh. Just listen to this. That petty voice is just really annoying. It's not even scary. Maybe if you hear the scream for the first time, it might freak you out, but if it just keeps playing the sound again and again, it's just super irritating. And you will hear that petty annoying scream a lot in the game, unless you turn the volume off. But it would be hard for you to tell if Tinky Winky's coming after you. So the game just leaves you with no choice but to hear that scream. And I'm out here literally arguing about a Teletubby. Now for the jump scares in this game, I personally don't like them because they are really cheap and they have no build-up whatsoever. They are just weird pictures of Teletubbies doing stuff, though they are a bit creepy, I'll just say that. And sometimes the jump scares do indicate you if Tinky Winky is coming after you, so I guess that's a good reason why they they are in the game, I guess. Which is the only thing I liked about the jump scares in this game. And now I forgot to talk about the multiplayer mode in this game, like talk more specifically about it because it has more to it, so I'm gonna explain that right now. Well, it is like raining outside, like really hard. There's even thunder and stuff like that. Oh, it just happened again, and wow, happens in the same day I review Slendytubbies. What a coincidence. Anyways, back to multiplayer. So in multiplayer, there's co-op mode, which you've probably heard before in other games. And basically in co-op mode, the players will also have to collect 10 custards like in single player in order to win. But the first player who collects them all is... Sorry guys, I'll be right back. Shut up, Rain! I'm making a video right now! Be quiet! Sorry guys, I had some technical difficulties. Okay, let me continue. So, the first player who collects them all of the custards, is crowned as the Slendytubbies winner of that server. Tinky Winky still chases after you, obviously, with that annoying, irritating scream. And then there's versus mode, which is basically the same thing, same rules, same instructions, except one of the players will have to play the role of Tinky Winky with little context. And the player who plays Tinky Winky will have to catch all the other players before they find all custards. And for the player who plays Tinky Winky, they will have
the amazing ability to
simply jump higher than the other players. What, you thought it was gonna be an awesome ability? No. But I guess another ability that Tinky Winky can have is night vision, which is cool because it could help you see all of the map to see where you're going to go on your epic quest to slay the other Teletubbies, which is far better than the flashlights that the other players use. Oh, and I forgot to mention that there is no time limit, so basically the server could last forever, I guess. Oh, and I forgot to mention that if a player collects all the 10 custards, they get a cute picture of a Teletubby surrounded by custards in a random forest, saying, "You won! Congratulations! You've collected all the Teletubby custards without getting caught. Well done! There's no specific prize or good prize. You just get this random picture." Yeah, you just get that. But it's kind of cute. And for the graphics, they're okay I guess, but there could have been a lot more detail put into them. But I did like how they made the Teletubbies house, and how they made Nunu the vacuum thingy spin around. But yeah, overall for the graphics, it could have had more work. Oh, and some tips for collecting custards in the game. You basically need to follow the path in the map, or else you'll just get lost, and Tinky Winky will come after you and kill you with that scream. So what do I think about multiplayer? Pretty good. Like I said before, it's better than single player mode because you can play with other people and you can be Tinky Winky, I guess. It's also a good way to play with your friends too, so yeah. But what I don't like about multiplayer is that, I didn't mention this before, so I'm gonna mention it now, is that it is really necessary that you must have a private networking program, like Hamachi. Another thing that I dislike about multiplayer is that not a lot of people will be online because not a lot of people will have Hamachi or any other private networking programs. But I honestly do think that multiplayer saved this game because single player mode wasn't really that fun to play, and like I said before, it was kind of boring. And you know, people really like to play with each other in games, especially if single player mode is boring. Now for the customization, you have to press E on your keyboard to open the in-game menu. Then, on the lower left corner of the menu, you will see the button Customization. And just click on that and you can copy and paste your skin link. How do you get a skin link? Well, you can just find one on the wondrous internet or just make one yourself. And you can just flex on random people online with your awesome skin, I guess. And lastly, for this review, I will be talking about the Easter egg that this game has. Yes, this game even has an Easter egg. But what game doesn't? Now, I will give props to the developers for actually making their Easter egg creative. Why? Because you know the voice trumpet from the Teletubbies show? that like wakes up the Teletubbies?
Time for Teletubbies. Time for Teletubbies. Time.
Yeah, that. And instead of waking the Teletubbies, it plays one of the classic memes. That is a song. The old classic song from Fabulous Secret Powers from He-Man. You know, the Heya 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 song, which was a pretty big meme near the year of 2012. And so to find this Easter egg in the game, you have to climb some specific mountain, like over here, and then you'll find the voice trumpet, and then it'll play that song. It's a pretty cool Easter egg. So I'm gonna have to wrap it up for this review, and overall, the game was pretty bad. The single player gameplay or just the regular gameplay of the game was kind of boring, but the multiplayer mode was at least better. The graphics were kind of okay, but they needed a lot more detail, and the Teletubbies looked really terrible in this game. The visuals of the game was just bad, which gives me a final rating of this game in a scale from 1 to 10, a 6.3. Though I did kind of enjoyed a bit of this game, but that was mostly in multiplayer mode, which isn't really the main mode. So yeah, thank you for watching, this review is done, and bye.